Hey everyone, I'm Superphiz. Welcome to the second POAP Curators Community Call. I'm really excited to do this second call. We learned so much last week, and hopefully we'll pick up some new lessons and do better again next week. I'm joined by some people that I love to hang out with. I'm here with Tap.eth, uh, Colfax,
Hello, hello.
Defi Dude,
Hey, hey.
and the ETH Staker intern, Mr. Mojo.
Good to see everyone.
We also have a guest today. So I call you Zero G's. I think that's correct. Is that how you pronounce Zero G's?
Hello, hello. Yes, that's perfect.
Great. And if you don't know, Zero G's manages the degen bot developed by Bankless, um, and I think we'll probably get into talking more about that today. So Oh, it actually looks like we have DegenBot discussion up at the top today. So I'm going to do a little bit of setup, a little bit of background, and then we're probably going to hop right into DegenBot. And then I'm looking forward to some other stuff. Before we get too far into the call, if you go into, um, sorry, I'm reading DeFi notes. If you go into the, community chat channel down below, community calls, you'll find a link to our Slido. And I really want to use this tool long term to collect questions and comments regarding uh, this program. So if you go there, please vote. Please add your questions. If you want to be recognized as a speaker, post your question there, and we will know how to link you to that. Um, Let me see. I have a couple notes really quick. Um, Oh, okay. So I want to say first, congratulations to POAP on their seed fund raised $10 million. I Some people may not be clear the relationship of this curation call to POAP the company, and this curation call is purposely set up as a distinct entity. That means that we are a community call. We are not managed by POAP the company. We represent literally the community, and we use POAP resources to host this call because they choose to. So we could essentially host this same call anywhere else, but it would still be a POAP curation call. And so congratulations to POAP. I don't know about you all, but I've been obsessed with the product for a couple years, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go. With $10 million, they can probably reach a lot further. Um, One other thing that I want to bring up is uh, we want to we want this call to demonstrate best practice in POAP delivery. And so whether that means just adding a date on our POAP, whether it means using a good image, whether we um, use the right incentives, like you're not here to get a POAP, you're here to participate in the call and you might get a POAP, to fair distribution, which is why we're trying the degen bot. We want to demonstrate the best practice in um, providing POAP so that hopefully the community can learn and also do well. One thing I wanted to bring up is etiquette regarding POAP distribution. Last week, we did a Google form, and um, there were actually a lot more claims on the Google form than people that were in the call. And after the call, I received about 40 contacts from people who said very unkind, some demeaning, some things, saying that I'm a bad person and that I don't care and that I'm hateful. And I really want to encourage you as participants in POAP in the wider community, not to pressure or badger POAP distributors, because that really does reflect on POAP in a negative way. I know, if you're familiar with ENS, I'm also involved with ENS, and I know that members of ENS have a negative attitude toward POAP because some claimants are aggressive and hateful. And I hope that we as a community can promote these values of kindness and not demanding a POAP. If you leave this call without a POAP, it's okay. And that's the end of it. Um, there's always next week, there's always another opportunity, but please don't ever go after an issuer with the demands for POAP. With that, I'd like to thank Zero G's for being here. Welcome.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me. Awesome.
You're a little quiet from my end. I don't know about anyone else.
Yeah, it's quiet.
Oh, great. There we go.
Sorry, let me change audio pickup.
Much
I got-
better.
There we
Great,
go.
great.
Is that good there?
Yeah. So welcome, Zero G's. You're from Bankless now. I know that you've developed the DGen bot, and you've reached out to us several times about, hey, this is a product we've got, and it always takes me a while to like recognize new things, and I'm really glad that you've been persistent and you're continuing to develop this DGen bot. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of hard to always filter through the noise in this space, so I totally understand. I'm just excited to see it getting used in here. Yeah, so we came up with this idea initially when we were starting with Bankless DAO, and as the server grew, we were just getting more and more people, and it became such a really challenging load and heavy lift to, manually distribute these links. Using the bot that existed, we'd have the claim code and it would get shared in the channels, and everything would get claimed before the actual attendees by all these bots. And so we kind of wanted to make a solution that fixed both of those, where you didn't have to manually distribute every POAP, and also it wasn't coachable. So we wanted to bring back the value of proof of attendance and participation. So being able to be there in the call. So using this to send out the links directly to people or make them available directly to people within the call who meet certain requirements like time and duration and audio status, and yeah, just kind of constantly iterating, trying to bring that back.
Hey,
Go for it.
I think one thing to emphasize is, the things you're working towards and just automating. A lot of the stuff is true that Superphiz is saying, and just to reemphasize, like in communities handing out POAPs, sometimes it feels like you get attacked by 100 people. And it's really nice to have a tool that automates distribution that literally you can defer to say, this tool made the decisions. The people that got the POAPs get the POAPs that participated, and defer it to like that service. And so it just emphasizing like it's really really good, especially when you're talking about communities that have scale, like Bankless and POAP.
I just want
It's
to
good stuff.
jump in quick too. So I've run community calls for just my own kind of small community for 1-2 years maybe now, and compared to Bankless, definitely don't have like hundreds and hundreds of people probably as I imagine they would. But early days, it was like I have these calls. I've got maybe 50 people or so, and I was literally like I said, early days. I was literally taking pictures, like every 10 minutes throughout the call, posting it into Paint, Microsoft Paint, and then after the call, I was like, okay, I see this person was in the call. Like 10 minutes later, they were no longer in the call, so not going to give them a POAP. And so it was like very manual process of like going through every 10 minutes, making sure, and then manually DMing every single one of these people, and it was just a pain, and nowadays it's just with DGenBot especially, it's so easy, automated, takes a couple minutes. And then one more example too is like, maybe not an example, but Patricio from POAP, I still remember maybe a year or two ago, a similar situation, handing out a POAP for some Discord event, and he was again manually DMing every single person one by one, and he ended up getting banned on Discord because they thought he was a spammer. And like we all had, I still remember like people tweeting at Discord, this kind of thing. And it must have been like a couple of weeks. He was like, his whole account was just banned because he had to manually send out all these links. And Discord, I mean, if you're sending out a website to hundreds of people in a day, obviously it's a little suspicious. So what DGenBot has brought to POAP and like this ecosystem, as far as distribution, it's like really is amazing. I definitely love it.
I totally agree. And just to jump in there, like as you were talking about last week and this week, we're still very early stages with POAP. And there's so much to be done. And like I'm excited for us to use this community call as a testing ground and like a hardening ground for some of these POAP distribution mechanisms. And really the best way to do it in many cases is manual, but that's not going to scale forever. And in the interest of like building for the future, like 5 and 10 years from now, we need to build scalable solutions that have resilience against all various types of attacks. So I'm just excited to be a part of this community and sort of have all of us. I see there's now 1,002 people on here all collaborating together to figure out sort of the best way we can do this.
I really want to steer away from this idea of, well, so there is a time and a place for manual distribution, but in any like online community, there needs to be sort of an automated delivery system that takes the host out of the loop. Like we shouldn't be responsible for, um, you know, what like DeFi dude said he had to do was like watch all of these callers, even though I offered to help and he didn't accept my help. But we really should have better tools, especially like this degen bot. And I think that as POAP grows, those tools are going to be more and more valuable to increase engagement and decrease abuse. So I really look forward to that. And it's one of the reasons I'm so happy to have degen bot. So thanks, Zero G.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty much our mission goal is to bring back exactly those, not having to do those manual distributions where there's too many times where, so many screenshots were taken and, oh, who's this person? I don't think we know. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. We're also trying to help make things a little easier for the POAP team as well. And so we ended up setting up a method to be able to mint the POAP event, like create the event directly from the messaging with degen. And so it will, be able to create your links.txt, not directly, but it will create it and then you'll still get it in the email for now. But you can get those POAP claim codes created from within degen. Just takes the load off in your guys' server, hopefully a little bit.
I'm gonna have to try that. I haven't tried that yet, and I thought it was like I don't know if it works, right? I thought maybe it could be even legacy, so it's good to hear.
Yeah, it
I'm gonna
happens.
try that.
It works pretty quickly usually. I think the fastest I've seen an event get the links.txt file sent to the email was 6 minutes after running the command. Normally it's been like a half an hour or two, but still pretty quick.
So if we have community operators here, am I correct to understand that that onboarding right now is kind of going to be a slower process?
Yeah, we had to release a new one just the other day, and we hit the 100 server limit that Discord has. And so we're just waiting for the verification status to come through, and then we should be able to open back up. But we've got a list kind of starting over in the support server that we have for which servers are going to hop on next. And once we get that verification, hopefully everything should open up more quickly, but still taking it one day at a time, one step at a time, and making sure it doesn't, decrease the experience for everybody else who's already using it.
Sure. How can participants in this call get on the list to use degen?
Absolutely. I will share a link in the text channel, and that has a form that can be filled out. And then also hopping into the support server and pinging one of us who are in there. We're able to get you that role, and you should be able to add it in as soon as it's back on for new servers.
By the way,
Awesome.
I just want to jump in real quick because I don't think it was said this call. Most of the chat for these community calls, they're not going to be in the general chat, as far as I know. All messages and stuff and questions, whatever it may be, should be directed in the community calls channel on the left. I know there's a lot of channels, but community calls is the should be the one for this call.
Awesome. And Mr. Mojo, can I get well? So you are doing a screen share. Hey, Michael, would you mind monitoring that, or Colfax, or someone monitoring that? Because I'm monitoring right now this Slido, and that really is the best place to bring up those questions. I actually just
Yep, no problem. I'm monitoring the chat. Not a big deal.
Fantastic. I'm interested in moving to the Slido unless we want to go with the agenda. So Tap, I'll give you the option here. Tap, would you like to do interesting design spotlight, or would you like to begin with some questions from Slido?
Hey,
We can do either. I have some stuff ready. It might be quick, but happy to do Slido as well. Whatever.
really quick, I just wanted to say we'll also have in the support server this evening, we'll be doing an AMA. And so if anybody wants to come by and ask questions, learn how DGen works, and maybe get some demos, try it out, we'll be hosting an event there this evening. So I'll post those links down in the community call channel.
Oh, awesome. Tap, why don't we do 2 questions from Slido and then do your agenda items so that we're kind of balancing that? Does that sound fair?
Perfect.
Awesome. So the top question on Slido right now is the history behind POAP. And I can't give you all of the history behind POAP. I know a little bit. I know that it was started in 2019 at ETH Denver as a kind of a hackathon project. I know then that Patricio and I think Tomas was one of the partners. There are 3 founder partners, and they're actually listed in this um, the latest Medium blog post about the seed fund round. But at that time, POAP was primarily a physical extension of Web3. So you would physically attend an event and get, a physical claim code that you would then claim a POAP with. I met Patricio, I think, in 2020, maybe right as COVID was getting hot, when he started joining our calls and was like, "Hey, I'd like to distribute POAPs." And from there, we sort of transitioned POAP from a primarily physical attendance kind of thing to a more, I guess, because of COVID, a more online type of attendance thing. And so, as POAP developed first as purely proof of attendance. So in our as ETH staker, we did calls like test nets, and if you would come to a call, you would get a code. But we also found out that we could encourage behavior with POAPs, and we got people to participate in test nets for the early beacon chain. That sort of started the evolution of POAP from proof of attendance to sort of things like proof of action or proof of awareness. Like we used POAPs to people would say, "Yes, I'm aware that the chain is upgrading. I need to do something." And so for a while, there was sort of this thought of proof of a lot of things. At some point, Patricio decided that POAP should just be POAP, not proof of anything, but just an ERC 721 token that met this standard that was proof of some kind of engagement. And so we the first few years there were maybe 10 or 20,000 POAPs a year, and in the last couple of years, we saw 1 million, and then 2 million, and then 3 million POAPs get issued extremely quickly. In that time, POAP onboarded. Tomas has been with Patricio for a long time. Isabel joined, I think, in August of this year. They did seed funding in September, and that kind of gets us to where we are now. Patricio and Isabel reached out to us and asked if we would be interested in hosting a community call that was separate from the POAP business and reflective of the POAP community. And that really kind of gets us to where we are now. Yeah, so that's what I know.
Yeah, one cool thing in that story that I just want to highlight in talking to Patricia and some of the other folks about like the inspiration for the Hackathon project was building a project that fundamentally needs a blockchain to work properly, and like building a project that would add value but also like really uses a lot of the core concepts of what a blockchain is. So like storing immutable storage of data, and sort of having this public record of things. So I thought it was a very interesting like way of thinking about attendance like in that forum.
Yeah, awesome. I want to bring up a program note about this call. I know some people have a lot to add and they want to contribute. And the last call we shut off right at the top of 1 hour because I do plan for this call to be 1 hour. I want everyone to know that at the end of this hour, we're going to leave the call open for an additional hour for anyone who wants to join the stage and just kind of meet and chat and extend the call. So please don't feel like you don't have an opportunity to speak now, because after we finish this organized portion, there will be a 100% community run portion. So that is our goal here. You are welcome. Tap, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at the chat as we were talking. So yeah, a little bit on the design front. I think the main thing there is just asking about interesting design spotlight. The first thing I think, just want to highlight is there's a lot of question of like, how do I know when I create a POAP if it's going to be approved so I can issue it? And there's a new process, which is discourse.poap.xyz that you can leverage and use. But really, the design side ties to a lot, a big portion of whether they approve something is elements of design. And so I just want to provide some clear examples, and I'm going to drop this in the chat as I'm talking, so that people have a reference as well. This is the discourse in the example A of what a good drop entails. And so as you're looking at like, oh, I'm going to create a POAP, you should be thinking and making sure that you incorporate some of the key elements of a POAP in the design itself. And also, they can be professional, they can be fun, they can be a variety of different things. Just keep that in mind. The biggest tips I'd say is like clearly make sure that the artwork is like stating the event. It's encouraged to have some words on there, not always required depending on how your artwork, but making sure it's incorporating and embodying the event itself is particularly important. The artwork needs to be of some level of quality, right? In order for the curators to approve. So you probably want to take some aspect of time to make sure that the design is something that's unique and will provide your community value. And then also incorporating things like date and heading is events and proof of attendance is a point in time likely that you're participating in something. And then I think the last advice on there is, the event is somewhat private or for a special group, social group. And I think to emphasize there, it's like, it's looked down upon to just want to get as many POAPs as you can and just literally send them out on Twitter to do social impression mining. So just being thoughtful as far as like the intent on how you're going to go use and distribute them as well becomes important as it relates to the design itself. If that's helpful for anybody. I don't want to add any other comments on that. And then I have some examples of things I can hop into as well beyond some recommendations and requesting POAPs.
Cool. Thanks so much, Tap. Yeah, awesome. So that weird spot where I caught a lot of what you were saying and I was like, yes, he's doing good. And then I'm like, also trying to think of the next section. I don't have a good segue.
No, I actually have a segue, which is,
okay.
Sorry, I was opening up for like if you had any commentary because I said a lot there. But the example I was going to provide we have Eat Denver, which is coming up where POAP originated, right? And that is in 3 or 4 weeks. And so a lot of people are looking at, hey, I want to make a POAP for that event. A few things to consider when you think about that is like, okay, you probably want to incorporate what the event actually is, the date of the event. So like maybe it's on Thursday night, grab the date of that Thursday night, incorporate what the event is for, and maybe the people that are actually going to be there, right? And then make your design from there something special for your self and your community, and be creative as well. So want to highlight that one POAP that I think is kind of interesting this week, and this kind of transfers into the next section as well, is Australian Open has a POAP in Decentraland, and it incorporates the event that's going on. It's in the digital metaverse, so you have to do something to actually claim that you participated. And this gets into the distribution side, which I think is the next section with Colfax. So the POAP looks really cool. I'll drop a link to it so people can see it. I think it's here. It's the Grand Slam Oval Treasure Hunt within Decentraland for the Australian Open. And you have to go and collect 10 tennis. This is the distribution portion, right? So it looks like a tennis ball. Sorry, I'm multitasking. I just put it in the link. It looks like a tennis ball. If you look at it, it's got 2 paddles, tennis rackets, paddles. I don't know. So it says Grand Slam, right? Oval. And so the design itself is like really cool, simplistic, incorporates the elements of that. And then in addition, in order to get it, you have to go and collect in Decentraland 10 different tennis rackets. I'm not a tennis player, so.
Do you use Decentraland much?
I haven't. I've been in there a few times. I don't play a ton myself.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this would be like a fun thing to kind of like go on a raid with a bunch of friends. I think it could work that way. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, and the thing is like having to go and find those 10 tennis rackets kind of reduces the farming side of it, where like there's some work effort to actually prove that you participated in this activity. So that's a pretty cool one. And I have to thank Rihanna or Tracy, Rihanna Dion, Discord name for providing that one as an example here. Oh, and there's another one. That's the 90-day retro tennis ball one, which appears to be today in the chat. You there, Superphiz?
Yeah. I cut you off like 50 times a day, and I was like, I want to make sure that I don't cut Tap off again. You're my boy.
We're all good.
Yeah. So thanks. I'm actually curious now about that that tennis POAP, and I'm like,
Superphiz just went to Decentraland and got distracted as well.
I'm there now. What are you talking about?
Wait, are you not there?
But I do think that kind of transitions to like that's an interesting deployment side. And your next, I think the next section is talking a bit about ways in which drops can happen, right? Maybe yes.
Yeah,
no?
yeah. That's after. I want to do a couple questions, but I love Decentraland. I am a little I'm a little boomer for it. Like I want to spend more time there, but I'm a little out of my element. But I do feel like that kind of product is going to be more and more the future. And so I'm like pushing myself to spend 10 minutes in Decentraland and being like, oh man, I got a headache. But yeah, today's the day that I land Decentraland. I want to look at the Slido, and I see a question here that has a lot of votes that's interesting to me as well. Are there plans to move forward towards decentralizing after raising the capital? And before I answer that, I have to be clear that we are not representatives of POAP. None of us are employed by POAP. We are community members, but we do spend a lot of time with people who maybe organize POAP. And I can tell you that the developers of POAP are very interested in public goods, in decentralized applications, in permissionless systems. And there's kind of this framework that suggests that some of the best decentralized applications begin centralized and then distribute in a decentralized way. And that's something that I've sort of fought against personally. Like, I've always felt like the best decentralized applications begin decentralized. But I can tell you that I have a strong belief that the ethos of POAP in the future will be decentralized. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know that POAP shares our values of the Ethereum ethos of decentralization. And I don't know what form it's going to take, but I do feel strongly that decentralization is a future goal for POAP. Yeah, and that's, I think it might have even happened sooner if it wasn't for the farming problem. The farming problem, as many of you know, are people who have no interest in events but just interest in collecting these digital tokens, has sort of changed the realigned or misaligned some of the values of POAP, and has caused things to have to become more tightened. But I do believe that decentralized creation, curation, and distribution will be part of the future. So, let's see. That was actually a
Would you
great
call that
question.
would you call that POAP Legos?
Yeah, well, so I think POAP is a Lego. It is one of the identity Legos. We look at these projects like Sysmo, like Zorro, POAP, Bright ID. What's the people of what's the there's a Humanity
Proof of
DAO.
humanity or something. Yeah.
Yeah, Proof of Humanity. There are so many of these. Oh, and then I did say Bright ID. So many of these identity Legos. I think that they're going to begin to snap together more efficiently, to the point where um, you can prove your real life identity. You can do a zero knowledge proof of your online identity, or you can simply not prove who you are, but prove what you've done, and have that as who you are. So POAP is really that great thing that says it doesn't matter what my name is. I can show you the things that I've done, and then you can have a better sense of who I am without knowing my identity. So that's really exciting.
I'm super excited by that too. Like, how can you create these on-chain identities that, I guess, are a representation of your in-person identity, but it can be sort of proven without having to reveal like personal details.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, let's see. DeFi dude, you had said something when it comes to cool drops.
Hey, yep.
Yeah.
I do have.
Go
ahead.
I just think, and this makes me think of your biweekly calls. You're the guy who picks up on cool new things. And it felt like something you might be an expert at. And if you don't have anything, that's great. And if you do, then whatever it is welcome.
Yeah, sure. I do have a few things. I will admit that, like, in the current POAP ecosystem, it is so hard to stay on top of everything that's so cool, or the very cool drops, because like I'm going through like this whole list of new POAPs, that kind of thing. It's like it feels like there's hundreds a day, and some days there probably is like hundreds a day that are being used and made. So it's absolutely crazy how much it's grown. But yeah, tons of cool drops. I do have a few here I can share. So again, we can't really screen share. I was kind of hoping, for last call, we could screen share, maybe helps. Um, but maybe I'll just send a picture of some of these POAPs as well. But it's not always just about the pictures. So
Yeah, if you
the
actually put it in the community calls, I can see it for the recording.
okay, cool, perfect. I'll post it there. So I will share the picture of some of them. Only have a few to go through here. The first two are actually just for community calls. This is actually the reason I started using POAPs. Community calls is actually a very common use for POAP is community calls in crypto, often on Discord. So this first one is just the Ethereum.org. I just thought it was cool because it's Ethereum.org. It's the main the Ethereum.org team. I don't think it's like the main devs behind Ethereum. All right, is that even right to say? But the actual website team. So it's just cool to see that. Got some community cools as well. Same with Consensus. Kind of a, if you don't know Consensus, very big. I don't even know, how would you describe their company. um Not
The
sure,
do all.
yeah, they do all. I guess that's a good way to put it. But they also do have their Infura developer community call, which I did see that collecting this POAP also gets you a chance to win a 3-month subscription to Infura. I kind of like when they maybe release the POAP and then announce like, hey, afterwards, hey, you have a chance to win this beforehand, so people aren't going just for that. But still, cool idea nonetheless. You get to collect a nice POAP for a community call and have a chance to win, a free subscription to their service. So thought
That
that
kind
was
of
cool.
reminds me, I shouldn't tell people in advance there's going to be a POAP for this call. Like, I do that because I'm like, some people will come because of the POAP. But that's really not our goal. Our goal is to reward people for things that they want to do anyway.
Yeah, for sure. The other ones I have aren't really community calls. So this next one I saw, I actually just set it aside because like I like the image. It's actually for a festival in California coming up in February, so it's not even out yet. Um, but I liked it because it's like, first of all, some of the bands, it's like some of the bands I listened to years ago. Very big fan of them. But me, I really do love the physical, representation of POAP. Like I don't know how they're distributing it, whether they go there and maybe they're handed a little card or a QR or something. Um, but attending these real events and getting a POAP, to me, it's like, don't get me wrong, I love virtual events, love POAPs for those virtual events, but like attending a physical event, going there and getting that digital POAP, it just, I don't know, feels really cool to me. I love those types of POAPs. And so this is one of them, just a live music festival with some big name bands. So yeah, just cool that they're using POAP. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised that big names are using POAP. We've seen like Time Magazine, Adidas. I mean, it's you know not out of the ordinary, I guess, for big names and stuff to be using POAP. But that's coming up in February. Wish I lived in California. Might have to go out and get that one. Um, Up next
Hey,
is
on
actually. Go ahead.
hey, just adding DeFi, dude. Like, I had an experience this week where someone was like, they showed me their POAP wallet, right? And they had a POAP that I manually handed out to people in person, and I was like, "Oh, I met you before," and I had no idea. Like, I had no idea, right? And
And they're
so
like, no, I didn't. I paid $50 for that.
well, yeah, I think that type of connectivity of like, yeah, now I can see someone else had similar experiences to me. As we look at the ecosystem develop, that's really, really powerful. And some of the things I think POAP's thinking about and working on.
Yeah, for sure. It's always good, like seeing people with wallets that they share similar POAPs. Like, oh, you were in ETH Denver back in 2020, kind of thing. It's like I was too. Like, I don't know. That's cool as well. But the next POAP is actually like a you've met someone, and actually, I believe it's someone from the POAP team. So, Dill or Dylan or Villon. I see three different names on this POAP here. Not trying to like single out just because it's the POAP team. There are many uh, iterations of this. You've met blank. This is just the first one I came across, so I'll post it there. But it's you've met Dylan from POAP, and I do love these two because I a year ago I didn't hear about any of these types of POAPs, but now it's like I think even Superphiz had one made, and like I'm hearing people like making business cards or like I think we actually talked about this last week, but like even utilizing like NFC, I believe it is, or like that kind of stuff where it's like you just tap your phone up to it and then you can claim like, hey, I met this person. So yeah, I came across this one just today. It's newer, of course, but like just meeting someone and getting a POAP, like I think that's so cool as well. So I got that one. I set aside. Thought that was cool. If you meet Dylan, hey, there's your chance to get a free POAP.
I think that's
Um,
also representative of the evolution of POAP. Like a year ago, I'm not sure that meeting a person would have been considered an event. But now meeting a person really is a POAPable event. So I love to see this growth and evolution. That then it would have been a sort of an outlier, but now it seems to be much more mainstream.
Yeah, I just
yeah,
want to
for
say
sure.
that I met Superfizz in person, and he gave me his I met Superfizz, and I'm I'm gonna keep that physical POAP too. It's in my POAP gallery, and I get to have a physical version. It's so neat, and it's something that I want to do too. I think because it's just so cool. It's like yeah, like you shake their hand. Oh yeah, you met me. Here's a POAP for you. Do you know how to use
And
it?
that's
You don't? Let me show you how to do that. And now somebody else can be welcomed into this ecosystem.
that absolutely speaks to the need for decentralizing POAP curation. Because when you think about millions of people who are definitely going to want this product in the future. Like a few curators cannot sift through and determine, is this a real person? Is this a Sybil? It really will take kind of a community decentralized effort to make that happen. So I honestly can't see any way around it as POAP continues to explode in growth.
I, I want to jump in and tie two ideas together that I just heard here. So one, when we were talking about like meeting people and seeing their POAP collections and be like, oh, like I was at that event too, or I was at that event too. Something that I've always wanted to do is be able to search for people by POAP collection. So like I want to bring up all the people that have like these 5 POAPs. But then now tying that idea together with the meeting people in person POAP, like it's kind of like the whole concept of 6 degrees of separation, but you're building like this sort of graph through POAP. It sounds super cool.
Well, I want to hop to the Slido to hit maybe one or a few questions. The first one is, why can't Persian community have POAP? And now, obviously, there's no limit to who can claim a POAP. I think what you're saying is, I think you're asking for an international channel on the POAP Discord. I think that's what you're looking for. I don't actually have any control over that, but if it's something that's very important to you, then um, I'm not sure. Maybe some kind of well, so number one, we're raising awareness here, and I've seen this question pop up repeatedly. Um, Maybe some kind of petition might be the next step, but I don't control the POAP Discord, and I'm not really sure uh, exactly what the standard for adding new language communities are. But that's really the best that I can answer that.
To
Uh,
broaden that a little bit, is there anybody on the POAP team that watching this right now that could jump up here and tell us a little bit more about like how different communities can evolve within POAP, possibly a Persian community? If you're here, we can jump on to the next question, but if anybody here wants to chime on that, just raise your hand.
While we wait, I mean, I do have like 2 more quickly to go through. Is that okay? Should I just hold off and?
no, please do. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was just trying to balance that a little bit. Please go ahead.
Yeah,
By all
no,
means,
no
Peter.
worries. But yeah, in the meantime, if anyone wants to, yeah, POAP team jump on and request. But so yeah, so 2 more. The last 2, one of them is actually from an artist, Pack. I think he's quite well known in the NFT space. If you're interested in NFTs. But the reason I call this one out was, I thought it was cool because it's for one of those participating in an auction. I'll post it here. And we covered one last week, where you get a POAP for participating in auction. This isn't new. I love the idea. But what stood out to me as well on this one is like this was created not even by Pack himself. This was like created by the community, adopted by the community. It even says not affiliated with Pack, but yet, there's over 800 claims. So I thought that was just kind of cool that the community is taking it into their own hands to like provide a POAP for this event or auction. So I thought that was cool. And then the last one I will cover is sorry, let me just take a picture here, is for an NFT salon, an LA art show. So I also had one last week. I believe it was with Portland or Seattle, where it was like a physical NFT gallery, and like it was their grand opening, and you could get a POAP. This one's kind of similar. It's not specifically for an NFT only gallery, but it is it's attending the Fabric NFT Salon booth at the LA Art Show. Again, I just think that's cool seeing these physical, art shows or just things in person where NFTs are represented. This is an actual art show, not just NFTs, but clearly there's going to be an NFT salon booth by Fabric, I guess. And so you just get a POAP for going there. So I just think that's cool that NFTs are being represented in the real world in the art community. So yeah, I thought that was cool. That's kind of all I have for this week for cool drops. Even though I'm sure there's probably hundreds to go through, but yeah.
Thank you for killing that, DeFi dude. It's so easy to get into your little bubble and not really catch like the 50 awesome POAPs that are out there. Not to mention the 50 awesome POAPs that I didn't claim. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem.
Let's see. So one of the things we want to get to next is POAP integrations. I'm going to check this Slido for a sec while Colfax gets ready to stage. What would a future look like where POAP is widely adopted? Are there any use cases we are not seeing right now? I really enjoyed our discussion last week. We had Prof. Werder and Dr. Malachi kind of talking about the academic perspective of POAP integration. Use cases we're not seeing right now. Anybody on stage want to suggest one of those, or anybody who want to mention in chat, and we can bring you up?
Yeah, I actually want to kind of answer this question, or at least from my perspective. So, one of the things that I thought of when I first saw POAP was not only how cool it was, but how much use that it could actually have. Everybody already sort of knows that in the Web3 space, it's heavily used, but in a world where it's has this mass adoption, I'm thinking academics as well. For example, my niece was on the honor roll this past grading period. Instead of getting her little certificate, I mean, sure, maybe she has that, but on that certificate is a POAP, and she can always have that in her like school records or something. Or even how I described it to my girlfriend when I got her to mint her first POAP was, hey, in the future, this could be the way that you get a job, or this could be your like active resume. Because I know for me, I had to write a resume not too long ago. I don't like doing that. It would be so much easier just to be like, look, here's my POAP gallery. This is all the stuff that I've done. Do you like what you see? Instead of having to go through and, oh, I went to college here, or I worked here for so long, or whatever. It can be one of those things where it's like, I've worked on this project, I worked at this job, I achieved this in school, etc. That's kind of how I see it as well. Not to mention, you could even intertwine it with other things too, like NFTs, where, okay, maybe you go to a concert and your concert ticket is an NFT, then you get a POAP for going to the concert, and maybe if you own that POAP, like the venue will give you say it's a concert, they give you like a song or something, and certain songs are randomly distributed to people who have that POAP. It's like this big intertwining of technologies that could really give people an even more boosted experience for what they do.
Hey, this
I
is
totally agree with that. Go ahead, Tap.
hey, this is Tap, and this is actually pretty interesting because this week we did a design actually for the University of Oregon. So if you're attending FinTech 685, I just posted it. You will receive this POAP.
I
And
want
the
to go to there.
the professor is Stephen McKeon, and so I think like just pretty interesting from a perspective of people already headed in that direction.
It
So
says
pretty
Bitcoin
cool.
on that. Is Bitcoin still a thing?
Oh,
Sorry.
oh,
I
Sorry,
had
sorry.
some thoughts.
That's fine.
I think the market cap's still higher than Ethereum, is it?
That's just a number.
Oh, sorry.
I had some thoughts on the use cases, if I may.
Please do.
Please.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for letting me speak. I love pop and art and everything. And hi, Prof. Werder. I think you're pretty cool too. Thank you, Mr. Mojo, for the like lead up on this. I had some thoughts on the use case. I think that's such a tough question to say what our use cases are right now. I think it's in 100 years we still won't be able to answer the question of what are all the pop availability use cases. I think it's sort of like giving someone crayons and saying, how many different pictures are we going to get with this? Because each pop community, each user and popper is like a snowflake. I think all our collections are going to be different. All the use cases are even tweaking just a tiny bit, like the Popathon coordination is so awesome, but I don't think that's the end of producing pops on a community scale. I think that's almost something that each piece can be driven to each community and used as they see fit. So as far as use cases go, I don't even know that we've scratched the surface yet because there's just it's an eternity of them.
Yeah.
So thanks for me add those cents.
You even
Hey,
see
this is Prof.
companies
Werder.
now.
I'd love to.
Oh,
Oops,
sorry. You can
That's
actually
okay.
go ahead unless you want me to go ahead and get my thought out.
No, go ahead, get your thought out, and then I just wanted to add my the 2 cents on kind of how my experience is evolving with
Yeah,
this
sure.
in education. But go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So, you already kind of see companies doing this where they have their sort of own version of POAP. For example, Regal Cinemas, they have what are called crowns, where if you go see a movie, they give you a crown for showing that you went to go see that movie. And I'm thinking, okay, other companies are already sort of seeing the writing on the wall for what this could do. But having POAP actually be the thing that can come in and do that would be so much better, because I'm going to be honest, Regal's system doesn't really work well. You go see a movie, you try to get your crown, it just doesn't work. So, something like POAP, I'm going to be honest, it's really worked so far. I would like to see it continue to work and actually integrate into something like that instead of these companies trying to do it incorrectly, I guess I would say.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I just wanted to add that 2 things. One, so I've been using POAP in class just for 2 weeks now into the semester. And I've already seen a little shift in behavior, which is really interesting, where we had guest speakers on Wednesday. There's a POAP for it, but they also have to do something else to get it. They have to do an assignment. But right after, I already had students asking, so when am I getting that POAP? And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. They're already transitioned on week 2 to when POAP. I'm like, okay, that was fast. That was much faster than I anticipated.
Wait till the hate
So
mail
it's
comes.
awesome. Right? I know. I'm like, oh, we're already there? Really? Okay. I thought it was going to take a little longer. And then secondly, my university, and I know there's a lot of them doing this, are implementing different digital badging micro credentials. And if you look at even LinkedIn, I know they have their own education platform. So if you take one of their courses, like say on Excel, then you can put this little digital badge on LinkedIn, and that kind of adds to your, electronic resume, if you will. So they created a whole platform, and actually they're using something through IBM. And when they were presenting it to me, they're like, hey, we'd like you to teach this one on blockchain. And I'm like, we could just be creating our own and using POAP. And I'm going to actually suggest that to them. But it's already happening in that higher education system where they're doing this digital badging. And so it's a very easy transition for POAP to move into that market as sort of the go-to for that. And I thought it was really cool to see the Oregon class, that professor from that class come in and request a POAP via the POAPathon request. And that was amazing. And so it's really cool to start to see that adoption moving even further. And that's it. I just wanted to add that in. And no fun. I like you too. No fun. I love all your work. It's so great. And DeFi, dude, that was awesome. I loved hearing sort of like the top drops of the week or whatever. I think that's a cool thing to keep as like a regular feature of this call. So, and that's it.
I'm so glad to have you here today. I hope you come again and join us soon. You're really valuable to us. You and No Fun Token are probably
I really like the community called POAP, and now I have this thing in my head like I want them all now. If they're
oh yeah,
just kidding.
But that's it's
Yeah,
addictive.
right?
I mean, that's really it's why people
That's why
come
I'm
back.
here.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a peek at another question.
Hey, one of the top questions, Superphiz, is when POAP.
Yeah, well, so it's good. That's I don't know, but I'm. Let's talk about it. So we're using the DGen bot today, and so we do have just a few more minutes left in the call. Will someone who knows more about the bot talk about how the claim is going to work for this today?
So I can jump in unless I mean, I know Zero is in here, but since I got I'm running, so okay, I'll share quick. But basically, yeah, we're gonna have to end, I guess, the event. So after I end it, anyone who hasn't been in the call, if they join, they're not going to get the POAP, which only makes sense because we're towards the end of the hour. But after I end it, I will let everyone know, and then there's going to be a claim POAP channel. This channel is hidden right now. It's actually going to be right below the community calls channel. So when it's ready, I will tell you. it's going to pop up. It's going to show that it's, open. So in that channel, you're going to want to type /POAP space claim. I will type it in community call now. Well, okay, maybe it didn't show correctly, but yeah, /claim. Sorry, I'm messing up my words here. /POAP space claim. And that should really be it. And then it's gonna kick back your claim link. Is that right, Zero? Do I have everything right? Am I missing something? I probably didn't explain it too
Nope, that
clearly
sounds
here.
great. It'll just have to be in that channel where, there we go.
Yeah, so slow
But I
down,
didn't.
everyone. We kind of
I
figured
didn't
this would
end it
happen,
yet.
and we really want to kind of curb this. Please do not post the claim in channels that are not the claim channel. Please do not post this in the community calls channel. That's really a strong indication to us that you're not actually engaged with the call. You're just here for the POAP. So please slow down. We really are looking for quality engagement. After the call, the claim channel will be open.
I disabled DGen in this community call channel. You can revoke that permission and just give it to the one channel that you want it to be in.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's like on one hand I have an interest in raising the standard of the POAP community, but that's very difficult when many people are just focused on /POAP claim. But yeah, it is what it is, and we will run with it. One of the questions here: do you have plans for a long stay in the market? I'm not really sure what that means, but I do feel like POAP will probably be around for a very long time. Here's a question I definitely want to address before we close, and this is a great chance to give Tap the stage for a sec. How can I find a designer to design a POAP for me?
Great question.
Oh gosh, you're teeing me up. Yeah,
Thanks, bro.
hey. So I want to emphasize a few different things, which is like, first is asking, but the whole reason I created we created POAPathon is because we had that same exact problem, which is I'm a really bad designer, and so was everyone in the community that I was in, and we asked around, and everyone had the same problem. And so what ended up happening is we threw an event called POAPathon. And so now we've made it into a service where anybody can come to poapathon.com. You can request a design prompt. And I do want to emphasize, like, there is other places you can do some of this as well. Gitcoin is a great one. And then I think also engage with the art community in general. Like, I believe that there is a ton of opportunity everywhere. So you'll see me emphasize and promote. It's like there's even bounties with POAPathon right now. There's also bounties for Shelling Point with Gitcoin right now. So those are probably like the two that come to mind. And then I'm also publishing a guide on how to create a competition if you do want to do it yourself. The number one thing I'm going to emphasize is that you pay your designers. Make sure there's money associated when you do competitions, or if you have someone design, if possible. That's not always the case, right? Even sometimes we have incremental work that like people do for free to commit to communities. Yeah, just want to make some suggestions there, and then look for hopefully next week a blog post that's almost ready to go on Medium regarding if you want to make a design competition yourself on social media, for instance. So that answer your question well? POAPathon.com, Gitcoin, or run a design competition. Those are the three on my mind.
If I may, for to point people towards Tap.eth designers or people looking for design, or just as an artist speaking, anyone that is looking to maybe get involved in competitions in a no bar type set, just show up and work and learn and try and design. This is the place for it. I as an artist, I've been in tried to compete in different competitions, and that barrier of you need to pay to compete is a big one. So the Popathon bounties it's incredible that they're able to just shouting out for all the artists. It's a place to go.
And it's so cool to see all the high quality art that comes out of these competitions. It's really impressive.
Yeah, it's great. And then the other thing I would say is like that's a great way to get design people within your community then to do other types of design services. So a lot of the artists end up actually going and working for different protocols or different people directly, which same thing we also encourage to keeping it an open ecosystem.
Awesome. Well, we're just about out of time here. Superphiz, do you want to close things up and transition into the more hang and chat time?
Can I just jump in real quick on the POAP distribution? So it's probably mentioned, but like because there's so many participants with the DGEM bot, it does take some time. I'm still waiting for DGEM bot to say, hey, everything's good to distribute. But as soon as that's ready, the claim POAP channel will be open. So when you see the claim POAP channel open, that means it is time to claim your POAP. And yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Defi, dude.
We can hear you. We can hear you, Superphiz.
I can't.
I can't hear.
I cannot hear Superphiz.
Oh, okay. No, I guess not everyone can hear you. Sorry about that. I can hear you.
Very strange.
It might be a Discord issue because we're gonna do a lot of people where you have to like drop off and come back in so we can hear you.
I don't think they can. I can hear you, but I might be the only one, which is really weird.
No. I think there's 9 people on stage that everyone below can potentially hear.
Okay.
So, but
I'm
those
not able to hear
1,000 people
Superphiz.
might be waiting for the DJ.
I can repeat. I'll repeat.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Colfax is here. Colfax is here, so he's going to wrap up. Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I officially have the mic from Superphiz. I don't know if you could hear him or not, so hopefully I'm not repeating, but thank you guys so much for coming out. Sit tight, be patient, but POAP claims will be available pretty soon. And thank you so much for joining us for this call. We are going to be doing the Slido again next week. I know it was kind of new this week, but it looks like it was pretty successful. So think about questions, and we'll try and post a link in advance to the call a little bit next week. And this is meant to be a community-driven call. And so we really want to hear from you guys on what you want to hear about and have as many people engaged in the conversation as possible. So I will close it up with that, and I'm going to pass it on to Tap to sort of keep this room open and have it be a little bit more informal for the next hour. Thank you all for coming.
Hey, I'll try. I don't have any rights to bring people on stage or manage it, and then I have a 3 o'clock community call. Just giving you a heads up. So I'll try my best, but I don't have any way to actually facilitate if you want me to do it.
I don't either. Superphiz, do you want to try and drop off?
Superphiz may be able to, he may be able to reopen it. Maybe we close it up, and then let them reopen and see if that works.
Defi dude's on here, so Superphiz will join back in and hopefully it'll connect.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. If not, then we can.
All right, and I'm heading out.
Hey, have a good one, Professor. See you later, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
All right,
Just
can
want
you
to
hear me?
say,
Yeah, we can hear
There
you.
we go.
Hey, great.
Yay.
So, go ahead.
Claim POAP is now open, by the way, so you can get your POAPs.
My intention is to leave the call open for an hour, and I will probably not speak a lot, but I will authorize anyone to speak that wants to, and I'll only moderate people who are inappropriate. So that will be the next hour of the call.
Thanks, Superphiz. I appreciate you moderating.
Sure. Glad to be here. Thanks everyone for coming. Can't wait to see you again next week. I'm really happy this is developing. One of the things I wanted to say about next week is my intention is to improve the community so that we're not flooding public channels with POAP claims. That's probably going to be one of the big targets because it detracts from the community if we're flooding a conversation channel. But we'll get there.
You're so wishful.
Bro, I'm not wishful. It just takes a bot that bans anybody in the wrong channel with the wrong with that claim, right?
No, I think it's good. Hey,
exactly.
the other thing is I already got I'm top left. I see on mine. I don't know if that's for everyone else, but it seems like the person on the top left gets the most DMs. Afterwards, I'm already getting DMs from people, and I'm just blocking them.
One POAP. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right,
Hey
guys,
guys,
Bye,
thanks
everyone.
for having
have
me on
fun.
All right.
today. It's
Do it.
been
Bye,
a
everyone.
pleasure.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for this.
Bye-bye.
Awesome. Also, welcome to all the new people over in the support server. That's quite a response. We'll get you guys set up. Thanks for having me here today, guys.
Zero G's, thank you so much for coming out. I appreciate your support.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye, bud.
Bye.